Okay class, last week we learned about sensory memory. So today I will continue our lesson with a new topic, short-term memory. So do any of you guys know what is short-term memory?
Me.
Okay, answer it.
Short-term memory is a condition where it can store some information for a few seconds. Is that right?
Yes, it is. But I will explain furthermore. Short-term memory is the brain's ability to temporarily store information, usually about 15 to 30 seconds, with a limited capacity, and this information is easily forgotten if it's not rehearsed or transferred to long-term memory.
2 hours later.
So class, that is the end of our lesson today. So do any of you guys can recall what have we learned today?
A few moments later.
So Haziq, what have you learned today? Can you explain to us?
A few inches later.
This is my fault. I should have been paying more attention while my lecturer is explaining things before. Now I think I should write some notes while my lecturer is talking. But still I cannot remember.
So in this scene, Haziq is in a lecture when lecturer Harith asks him a question related to the topic being discussed. At that moment, Haziq is trying to process the question and organize the information in his mind. This situation illustrates the working memory model, where Haziq's working memory is overloaded. The central executive struggles to manage attention, while the phonological loop processes the lecturer's question and the stored verbal information. Because the working memory has limited capacity, Haziq takes time to respond as he attempts to retrieve and integrate the relevant information. And the key takeaway right here is working memory has limited capacity, and when too much information is processed at once, it can affect a person's ability to respond immediately. I'll be explaining about working memory model. First and foremost, this model explains how our brain temporarily stores and processes information while performing tasks. It is more advanced than the traditional short-term memory concept because it is active, not just passive storage. The model has four main components. The first one is central executive. From scene 1, we can see that the student didn't pay enough attention to the lectures throughout the lesson, so this explains that central executive is the best theory to explain the scene or situation. The first point is act as the manager of the working memory. The second point is control attention and coordinates the other system. The third point is decides what information is important and what to ignore. The last point is the example. When taking notes while listening to a teacher, the central executive manages your attention between listening and writing. The second component is phonological loop. It can handle auditory and verbal information. It also divided into two, which is phonological store and articulatory rehearsal process. Phonological store, it temporarily stores sounds, and the articulatory rehearsal process, it repeats sounds to keep them in memory. For example, remembering a phone number by repeating it in your head. The third component is visual spatial sketchpad. It can handle visuals and spatial information like shapes, location, and movement. It also useful for imagining or planning actions. For example, visualizing a map to find your friend's house. Last but not least is the fourth component is episodic buffer. It integrates information from the PLVSPP and long-term memory. It forms episodes or coherent chunks for easy recall. For example, remembering a vacation by combining sights, sounds, and feeling. And the conclusion, working memory is just not temporary storage. It actively processes information, manages attention, and also integrates data from multiple sources. It's crucial for learning, problem solving, and decision making.
What else did they order?
So, to solve this problem, I am planning to use the chunking method when taking orders. So, it's easier to remember the details without missing anything. In this scene, the waiter often struggles during busy hours. Customers give their order one after another. Without writing them down, he relies only on his memory. Over time, the details become confusing. Some orders are forgotten, food are mixed up, and mistakes begin to happen. To solve this problem, the waiter decides to use the chunking memory technique. Instead of remembering everything at once, he starts organizing the order into a smaller and meaningful group. He used a notebook to separate food order, drink order, and special requests. This makes each order easier to remember and manage. By using the chunking method, the waiter feels more confident and organized. The service becomes faster and more accurate, and customers are happier. This simple technique helps turn a stressful situation into a smooth and successful experience. In this slide, I will explain the concept of chunking, which is a memory strategy to improve how we store and record information. Chunking works by grouping small pieces of information into larger, meaningful units called chunks. This is especially useful in working memory, where our brain has limited capacity. According to research by Miller, working memory can only hold about 7 items at a time, plus or minus 2. Because of this limitation, trying to remember too much information at once can overload our brain. Chunking helps reduce this cognitive load by turning many separate items into fewer, meaningful chunks. Even if a chunk contains several pieces of information, it is still processed as one unit by brain. For example, a long phone number is difficult to remember without chunking, but when it is separated into groups, it becomes much easier. The same applies to letters, such as remembering unimast as the chunk instead of 6 separate letters. In studying, chunking can be used by breaking long notes into heading, subheading, and bullet points. Overall, chunking makes learning more organized and help improve memory and recall.